Hello, everyone. Hello. Thanks for being on time. Good morning, everyone. For those who are here, give me a second. Let me. Uh, Hello to those who are here. Good morning, and thank you so much for being on time. If you're here, let me know in the chat section if you can hear me clear and see me clear. Can everyone hear and see me? Let me know in the yes. Okay, thanks, Suilin. Yes, Amelia. Okay, thanks. Everyone, let me know if you have any issues hearing or seeing me. But hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being on time. I see that there are about 30 of you already. So get yourself settled, and we'll probably give the rest 1 to 2 more minutes before we officially begin. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Munir. Hi, Amelia. Hi, everyone. So, okay, for those of you who are here, and I have a quick question, two actually. So I just want to know for those of you who are here, is this your first? Is this anyone's first Halogen webinar? And secondly, if this is your first or not, I would like to know how did you hear about this webinar? Is it through social media or did you get this information from like a financial planner friend of yours uh, or a client sent you here, or maybe someone forwarded this event information to you through WhatsApp? Facebook, okay, financial planner firm, okay, Facebook, okay, mostly Facebook and financial planner firm for now. Okay, Facebook, okay, mostly social media and Facebook, okay, a lot of Facebook. Okay, so mostly Facebook and financial planning firms for now. Okay, thank you so much for answering that. And then my next question is, okay, first time with Halogen webinar. I know Halogen as I'm Kenanga Investor Consultant. Okay, nice to meet you. So, okay, my next question is, how many of you are currently practicing financial planners? Just curious as well. And but if you're not, maybe you're just here to learn about crypto. That's fine too. So let me know. What's your current role? Like, are you currently a practicing? Okay, me, Catherine, Ashley, currently a practicing financial planner. Okay, great. All right. So, okay, thanks for chatting with me. So, okay, I think we will just get it started. So it's 10:02 already. So, okay, to those who just joined, hi, welcome, good morning. My name is Jia Ying. I'm from Halogen Capital, and I'm also your host for this session. So great to have all of you here with us today. We are hitting almost 40 of you all already. So, okay, given that you're here, I'm guessing that you have clients who are, becoming increasingly more and more, getting more and more interested about crypto. They're also probably asking you questions like, hey, how can I invest in crypto? Hey, how can I start investing in Bitcoin? What's Ethereum? And how can I also invest in that, right? Yes. How can I also invest in that? So, right, you are in the perfect spot because today we are actually here to clear these questions for you. And to shed light on all these queries, let me introduce our speaker for today. So, everyone, I'd like you to meet Fuad, which is our executive director here at Halogen Capital. And everyone meet Fuad. He brings with him 15 years of experience in asset management and has adeptly managed over 2 billion ringgit worth of assets for a wide range of clients. So you have your government, affiliated organizations, your family offices, your SMEs, your small medium enterprises, your private banking clients, and also high net worth individuals. And we couldn't be happier to have him shed light on this topic. So everyone, please welcome Fuad. Fuad, do you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning. So, okay, to those of you who are tuning in, please leave us your questions in the Q&A section, Q&A box, and then we'll get back to it in our Q&A session later. So let's keep this session as interactive as possible. So, all right, without further ado, let's begin. Fuad, floor is all yours.
Sure thing. Thank you, financial planners, financial advisors, for joining us at Halogen Capital today for our first webinar that we're holding in the day. And the reason why we're holding it in the day is so that everyone is fresh and good. And we can get down into answering some really tough questions that your clients may be asking you about crypto. They have been seeing all the news. They're seeing that, oh, wow, it's the recent high in how many years, all these things. They see last year they had very strong performance, especially Bitcoin. And then now they're asking you, how do I get my hands on this? How do I incorporate this into my portfolio? Do you guys have it on your platform? All these kind of questions. And of course, they'll be asking some tough questions, which is why I will be including our top 5 frequently asked questions at the end of this session, and I will tell you how to answer them. Okay, but before that, we do need to build up some credibility in your client's mind. If you tell them, oh yes, you can invest in crypto, there is Halogen Capital and we can offer you products from Halogen Capital, first thing they're going to ask you is, who is Halogen Capital, right? So let me get into that. We are Malaysia's first licensed fund manager offering digital asset exposure, right? We are licensed by the Securities Commission with the full asset management license. We're not a boutique asset management license. In fact, if you look at the bottom of the screen, that's our license number over there, ECMSL/A, etc., etc. And even though we are a new company, we just got our license 31st of March last year, so we haven't even reached our first birthday just yet in terms of operations. We do have quite an excellent team here, if I do say so myself. And what are we out here to do? What is Halogen trying to do, right? We want to make digital assets, blockchain technology accessible for all investors, right? And if we look beyond that, it's not just about digital assets and blockchain. We want to be your partner for innovative investments. So whatever new investments may come on board, what do you call, may emerge, and we want to understand them, and we want to understand how we can benefit from them. We can understand what is the investment value in them. That's where we aim to be, right? So we wish to be your most trusted financial institution for digital assets and innovative assets and beyond, right? And when I talk about the team, here are some of the what do you call, the leaders within Halogen Capital. We've got Han, Lucas, and Munho, and all of them are quite famous, I would say, in the fintech scene because they were all from Ringgit Plus before, and I think Ringgit Plus is quite a household name, especially amongst people who like to compare and find what's the best credit card rate, what's the best home loan, etc., etc. So they have left that fintech world, and what was their next the next flag that they wanted to plant? They wanted to go into asset management, and when they wanted to go into asset management, they needed somebody from within the industry, and that's where I came about. So I'm on the bottom right hand side. I was from that industry, but of course, even though the 3 founders are famous in fintech, it is little known, it is less known that actually they spent some time in the capital markets as well. So both of them were actually working, Han and Lucas on the top, they were both working in the UK in capital markets, doing derivatives, bonds, and etc., etc. So actually they also have experience in this space. And I must say, I think what is very pertinent to today's session is that Han is also a licensed financial planner. Well, was a licensed financial planner in the past, and he has actually advised investors about digital assets. So this is really the genesis of how Halogen came about, when we realized that a lot of people were actually keen on trying to get their hands, trying to understand how they can have exposure to digital assets in a safe way, right? And further to that, further from the 4 of us, we are fully stacked beyond just, it's not just 4 people sitting in a co-working space somewhere. We have 13 of us, including Colin, our head of trading. He was the head of FX trading at OCBC and CIMB, some of the biggest banks in the country. And FX actually has a very good analogy to crypto. It's a fast moving, it's traded on a market. Sometimes can be traded on an exchange, but you can also trade it on an OTC market. So he's very, very experienced in this kind of fast moving asset space. Our compliance officer, for example, I think is probably the only one in the country who has experience from asset management side and also the digital asset side. She was at MX Global, one of the digital asset exchange. We have our chief technology officer, so that's why we're able to roll out some innovative tech solutions for anybody who is already on board with us and you know how fast we can do things. We also have a fund manager who came from even JP Morgan and CAF investment funds from the fall. So we're quite stacked with experience and want you to feel assured that this is not just a new company with new guys testing out something. We do have experience in various fields, and we cooperate to give you hopefully what is best in class experience and solutions. And beyond just the people within the firm, we are supported by institutional partners. Some of these guys are investors in Halogen themselves. I'm sure you're very familiar with Malacca Securities, one of the oldest securities firms in Malaysia. Pejana Capital, you may not be so familiar with it, but it is actually a subsidiary of Khazanah since last year. And some of these are venture capital companies, international and local as well, and some of them who are specializing in digital assets. So you can see that even from our investors' point of view, we are supported from not just traditional side, but also the digital asset side too. Right? So now to talk about what does Halogen do then, because a lot of people, when they see our blue color and all those kind of things, they're tempted to ask, oh, this Halogen, is it a competitor to Luno? They will always say that because Luno also has a blue color. But hopefully this diagram over here can help to clarify at a moment's notice, right? So in the traditional world, you have your exchanges and brokerages. Let's say you go on M Plus Online, you can either trade yourself, but really that's your call of whether you want to buy that stock or not, or when you want to buy, when you want to sell, that's the investor's call. But the platform to enable them to do that is M Plus Online. However, for the people who don't want to manage their own portfolio, they don't want to be responsible for their own buy and sell, they want to leverage on somebody else's expertise, that's when they may go to somebody like Aham Capital to manage, right? Aham Asset Management. So that's the difference between, on the left-hand side, you've got your brokerage or the exchange, and on the right-hand side, you have the fund management, the buy side. So similarly, in digital assets, you have your Lunos, MX Global, Synergy, etc. Those are your exchanges and brokerage. So it's similar to the M Plus Online. It's a platform for people to trade, but in the end, the investor has to make their own call of whether they want it or not. And on the right-hand side, that's where we come in. Halogen comes in. We actually provide that expertise, that hand-holding, that advice for investing into digital assets. So I hope that makes it very clear. If not, please ask more questions in the Q&A later, yeah? So a lot of times people are wondering, oh, is it legal? And then a lot of people are scared, asking legality because they're worried about scam, right? There's a lot of scam out there. And yes, there are a lot of scams that are centered around crypto, or they use crypto as their as their, what do you call, as their fodder, as their ammunition to try and catch people out. But they also use FX. They also use stocks. They also use even sometimes say RPS or whatever, right? So there are many of these things around. So that's why people are trying to understand what's the legality. And I think this is a very important question. If your clients are asking you this, that means that they're on the right track. If they're not asking you this, then maybe you should advise them as well to be asking these questions, right? So what is the legality of crypto in Malaysia? Securities Commission, as early as 2019, has already recognized all these digital currencies and digital tokens, including Bitcoin, including Ethereum, etc., have recognized these as securities as part of the Act, the law itself, the Capital Market Securities Act 2007. So this is similar to the treatment of stocks and bonds. They are security, right? Then from a Shariah perspective, the Shariah Advisory Council of the SC has actually mentioned that the investment and trading of digital assets, the ones that they are considered digital assets, the 11 under the SC's website, these are all considered permissible from a Shariah point of view. And then with Bank Negara, SC did a joint response saying that digital assets are an investable class of assets. And I think that made it quite clear when they're coming out with a joint statement that these are firmly under the Securities Commission. It is a security, it is not a currency, it is not a commodity, it's not anything else. So it's a security. So that's a very important distinction to make, because if you make that distinction, then it gives rise for people like ourselves, Halogen Capital, to come out there and become a fund manager, to advise people, to give them the best execution, etc. And crypto itself, as part of that digital assets blanket, cryptocurrency is obviously the most famous. And it's a huge market, 1.7 trillion market capitalization. There are more than 10,000 coins and out there in existence. Not all of them are investable, which is why the SC has picked out 11 that they consider legal and good to be trading on the digital asset exchanges here locally, and also Sharia compliant, right? So out of the 10,000, the SC has already nailed down 11 or narrowed it down to 11. And also we can provide extra expertise in terms of which ones we feel are investable and which ones are not. But of course, what is the value of crypto? I think that's really important, right? There's two parts that we can look at it. One is utility value, or what is the value in usage, a real life application of crypto, right? It is an instant payment network that is on 24/7. It cannot go down in a sense, or it cannot really go bust, like how I go to Maybank and then I ask them, oh, can I withdraw? And then they say, oh, sorry, sir, system down. That's happened before, right? You go to the bank and they say system down. This less likely to happen in the crypto world because it's decentralized. That means that you have many computers which form up the system. So if a portion of them are down, even if many of them are down, you still have others that are functioning. So this is the beauty of decentralization, right? And I think that is something that not every payment network can say, that they have a very good uptime. Second is, of course, insurance from monetary inflation. And inflation is something that is weighing on everybody's mind. I think over the past 3 years, we've seen prices just continue to go up and up and up. And in fact, in some asset classes, it has wreaked some havoc. So I would say maybe not in the past year, there was a good recovery. But 3 years ago, inflation actually wrecked anybody who's invested in bonds, for example. So it's not just in terms of what's the value of your money, but maybe even your investment can be affected by inflation. So actually, crypto is very good for as a hedge against inflation, as we'll show you later on. And also, sometimes governments, yes, they have to, for greater reasons, and there are many reasons which I shall not get too much into. They may need to print money to, I suppose, save the economy when it's in a bad situation. It's basically about trying to control inflation. But when you have too much, sometimes you can have depreciation of a certain currency and all that. And similarly, crypto can protect against that, right? So that's the utility value on the left hand side. On the right hand side, then we talk about the investment value. Some people call it speculation, but in reality, this is really the investment value, right? What is the demand? What is the supply? If there's higher demand than there is supply, then obviously you're going to be talking about investment value going up. Market cycles, similar to the economic cycle, crypto also has its own cycles and also can be affected by the economic cycles, right? Because that affects supply and demand. And at the end of the day, it is a high return and high risk asset, right? So let's look a little bit more into all of these factors that I'm talking about. So first, let's go back to that utility value, a payment network with exponential adoption, right? If we think about, oh, but then it's all digital, there's nothing tangible and all that. Actually, there is some tangibility if you think about it. All these computer servers that are keeping the ledger, the number of people who are participating in the network actually give it its value. And here is, therein lies an analogy, a parallel to something like Facebook. What is the value of Facebook? The Facebook would not be valuable if none of your friends were using it. But because your friends are using it or people you want to get connected to are using it, then Facebook has value. So it's as good as how many people are using the network, right? So another way to think about it is think of people like Visa, Amex, MasterCard. Very similar. It's all a lot of infrastructure and computer systems and keeping records and settling with payments and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, it's only valuable if people are using it, right? And based on that, Visa, Amex, MasterCard, I think have an average market cap of maybe 300 to 400 billion US dollars each. So this is actually pretty big on its own. That already beats 1.7. It's around 1.3 trillion US dollars in terms of market value, and these are just the three, not even including your Chinese contributors, for example, right? However, if you do look at the cryptocurrency adoption, it's actually got a very uncanny parallel to internet in the 90s. And what I mean by that, so if you look at the chart on the right hand side, the green line is the total number of internet users starting from the 1990s, going all the way up to the dot-com bubble burst. And notice that even when the bubble burst, the number of internet users was still rising after the 2000s, just at the edge over there, right? And the line in blue is the total number of crypto users. And what's amazing about this is, okay, fine, the crypto users timeline starts a bit later. It starts at 2014 and all the way to recent times here, right? What's amazing about this chart is the total number of users are exactly the same. We didn't do any fancy transformation to make it look like it's the same, but the trend of user adoption is actually very similar to the internet in the 90s. Don't we all wish that we had a time machine? We could go back to the 90s and buy the tech stocks, even if you include the dot-com bubble burst. Anybody who doesn't have any tech in their portfolio is severely underperforming. Just look about 1 or 2 weeks ago, Nvidia on its own saved the S&P 500. And probably this is the one reason that why it pushed it to a new all-time high, right? So internet is a really big thing. Unfortunately, there is no time machine that we can use to invest in the internet in the 90s. However, there is new early opportunity, and by the looks of it, at least from this perspective, is crypto forms that kind of new opportunity there, right? And next, we talked about store of value, insurance from monetary inflation, insurance from governmental devaluation of assets, especially for emerging market investors. Bitcoin is actually becoming quite a viable alternative to holding currency. So obviously, when it comes to a hedge of holding to currency, people think of gold. People think of that as a monetary store of value. But what's interesting is Bitcoin can also play that role, right? It's easier to bring across a border. It's easier to keep, in a sense, because if you hold too much gold, you'll be worried that someone's going to break into your house. Usually, gold vaults are managed with armed guards and all that kind of thing. But of course, it's what you can see right here. Why does it also have this store of values? Because of some of these factors that we write on the right hand side here. It is scarce. There's only 21 million maximum for Bitcoin specifically. It's liquid, so it's a lot more liquid than gold. And in fact, we can even see that in the ETFs that have been launched. So gold ETFs have been around for a long time. And if you look at the Bitcoin ETFs and the volume that have been traded over the past month, it's already much, much higher than gold ever was, right? So it is very liquid. It is decentralized. So like I mentioned, it cannot go down. It cannot be banned because you'll just have a bunch of other people holding the ledger, other people maintaining the structure of the network. So it can always maintain its uptime. And what's amazing is that for a 15, 16-year project, the Bitcoin blockchain itself has never been hacked. Okay, that's the amazing thing. It has never been hacked. People have been hacked, exchanges have been hacked, exchanges have gone bankrupt, but the blockchain network itself has never been hacked. So what does this all mean, right? So if some of these people sitting in countries where there is massive devaluation of their currency, there's hyperinflation, all these kinds of things. So it's really a combination of some of those bad factors that we all wish not to ever experience in our lives. Argentinian peso, I think it's now gone up to Bitcoin when translated into Argentinian peso is the highest it's ever been, all-time high. Turkish lira, same story. Pakistani rupee, same story. Yes, we're talking about emerging market here, but you know what? It's also amazing. In Japanese yen, which is a developed market currency, and you know that they have been printing a lot of money because they've been trying to support the economy since COVID time. Bitcoin is an all-time high in Japanese yen. It's not in US dollar terms. Right now, I think it's about 54,000 in US dollar terms. The all-time high in US dollar terms is 69,000, but in Japanese yen is already all-time high. So that means that it actually, people who held Bitcoin actually were protected against the devaluation of the yen, right? So that's how it helps to protect against the store of value. But now to move on and talk about that as an investment asset, it's got high returns and high risk. And we can definitely see that from the past track record. The price history on the left hand side here, Bitcoin in USD terms, and then on the right hand side we just tabulate that for you. Year to date, that was the whole of last year, 2023, is 166%. 5-year annualized was 64%, 10-year annualized 50%. So definitely high return. But obviously, if you look at the line on left hand side, looks like spaghetti going up and down, right? And from that alone, you eyeball it, you can tell it's high risk. So how do we quantify this? It's actually got a volatility of 45%. So that is rather high. I do think stock indices are something like 10 to 20% kind of thing. Maximum drawdown of 88%. So the period with severe losses was actually 88% down, for example. So even though, yes, you can get some periods where it is high, you do have some periods of it being low as well, or deeply negative. So that's why it's high return and high risk. So what do we do about something that's high return and high risk? And at the same time, also having a low to negative correlation. If I look at the correlations with stocks, even Malaysian stocks, it's never gone above 0.5, which is really the benchmark for something that's strongly correlated. And in many cases, it's even negative. And what's funny is you don't even see a strong trend throughout these different periods. 5 years, okay, is mildly correlated, 0.24. But then in 3 months, it's actually negative correlation. Means when S&P goes up, what do you call Bitcoin goes down, when S&P goes down, Bitcoin actually goes up. Is negatively correlated, right? So 0.5 is actually quite strong as a hedge over there. So this is very interesting data, and it shows that really you cannot pin down a trend to Bitcoin, and that's why it works so well in a portfolio, right? That's what you need to do with a 40% return, 40% volatility, uncorrelated asset, meaning that if your other assets are going down, this may actually save you. And when it goes the other way, it may temper a little bit, but because of the high return, in the long run, you should be seeing some good gains, right? And some good uplift. Let's illustrate that, right? The uplift, I'm sure as financial planners and advisors, you're used to thinking about it in terms of efficient frontier. Efficient frontier excluding crypto, and this is in the traditional world. Yeah, you've got cash, it's low return, low risk. So low return means it's not so high on the y-axis. And low risk means it's not so far right, it's more to the left. Then you can take higher risk stuff. Bonds, you take slightly higher risk, slightly higher return, etc., all the way to equities, emerging market equities, commodities, all those kind of things. So you only get so far. And obviously, crypto is, as a complex, much higher return and much higher risk compared to all of these. But when you combine them together in the efficient frontier, when you are adding the right amount of risk into this portfolio, especially because it's an uncorrelated asset, you can actually get more efficient portfolios. So your blue line here can move to become the red line. You can get an uplift for each unit of risk you are taking. Let us illustrate that further to you, right? So let's take a conservative portfolio, somebody who's just invested in FDs. We're just using the board rate here, but this applies, the same uplift applies even if you were to use a fancy even you would use a fancy rate, what do you call special promotional rate from the bank and all those kind of things, right? Okay, so 1 month FD here, 5 year, the past 5 years annualized rate is 2.4%. If you had sacrificed 2% to put into a basket of crypto, you could have gotten 4.5% return over that same period, annualized. So that's the kind of uplift with actually very little volatility, only 1.3% volatility. That's even lower than being invested in bonds. Bonds volatility can easily be 2%, right? And so, you're getting an uplift over there. And for investors who can already take risks, they're already aggressive people. Let's just compare it to S&P 500 on the right hand side. So S&P 500 is in gray here. If you were to sacrifice 10% of that portfolio and put that into crypto, you can see a very huge uplift. So 16.5% annualized becomes 21.3% annualized. And what's even more fantastic on top of that is actually you are reducing the volatility, you're reducing the price risk. S&P 500 on its own over the past 5 years, the volatility was 17.6%, so closer to that 20% I was talking about earlier, right? And when you add 10% of crypto inside, it actually reduces the volatility. Why is that? It's because of the uncorrelated nature. There are times where the S&P is down, but actually you see during these down periods in the middle here, roughly around 2022, just after 2022 in the first half or so, that's actually kind of when the crypto side actually provided less downside. And also there were similar periods, say in 2021, where it provides more upside and therefore gives you more buffer to absorb some of the losses as well. So really, at the end of the day, you are getting better returns for per unit risk taken, right? And that's what do you call envisaged in the Sharpe ratio over here on the right hand side. That's what SR stands for on the rightmost column, where the Sharpe ratio of the S&P 500 is 0.77, meaning for every 1 unit of standard deviation you take, you get 0.77% return. And when you add 10% of crypto inside, it increases about 30 to 40%. So it's going up to 1.2, the Sharpe ratio. So that those are real numbers. This is what it really means, like to actually include a part of your portfolio into crypto, whether or not you're conservative or aggressive. We say that there is a place for a crypto. Obviously, if you're conservative, it's going to be less, and if you're aggressive, you can take more. But it's about right sizing it. And of course, our slogan here at Halogen is not to speculate, but to allocate. Okay, so don't speculate, allocate, and this is what allocation can look like in the long term. Yes, in the short term, people can talk about, oh, the price is here, is the price too high, etc., which is obviously a FAQ, and I'm dropping a teaser about one of the frequently asked questions later, which I shall go through. But yes, this is how you beat that. Consistent, disciplined allocation, and if you have holding power, you can provide an immense uplift for any kind of investor. Okay, so now obviously oh, that's great. I like all of this thing you're telling me, Fuad. How do we actually execute it? That's where our products come into play, right? So we have here some of the products that we have already launched. The flagship fund, the Halogen Shariah Bitcoin Fund, that is basically, if you invest in this fund, you're getting exposure to Bitcoin, unfettered exposure to Bitcoin. We've also just launched the Ethereum Fund in January. So this is very similar to the Bitcoin Fund, except that it also has the inherent proof of staking, right? So that means that you can get a yield from the Ethereum network itself and not by deposits or whatever, which is actually lending to another counterparty. So we're not taking counterparty risk, we're taking risk of the blockchain, and we're getting additional 3% to 4% yield on top of the capital appreciation of Ethereum itself. Last but certainly not least, we do have a store of liquidity, which is the Shariah Ringgit Income Fund, and this is actually just meant to be better than your FD rates, but also have a T+1 liquidity. In fact, all of our products have a T+1 liquidity. All of these public products on the shelf are Shariah compliant. They're wholesale funds, but although they're wholesale funds, you only have a 10,000 minimum investment. We do have private mandates that you can explore, and that starts from 100,000. But I won't be going through the private mandates just yet. It's just more of a high level to help you guys understand of how to execute, how to actually be allocating crypto into your client's portfolio, right? So, well, of course, one great way to do it, if a client already has an existing portfolio and they just need some plug and play, hey, the largest coin, the largest cryptocurrency of them all, Bitcoin, this is an easy way to get access. The Halogen Shariah Bitcoin Fund, it is the first crypto unit trust in Malaysia. Small letter unit trust, the wholesale fund falls under this category. It is the world's first Shariah crypto fund, thanks to the good work that the SC has done. It is T+1 next day liquidity with the 3 p.m. cutoff, right? It is 99% invested in spot BTC, meaning that we're not buying futures, we're not buying derivatives, we're buying the actual asset. And I think something that we cannot understate, it is safe access, right? Because we have a trustee, they are the ones who are holding the assets, we are merely the fund manager. It actually mirrors all of your traditional asset funds, because the fund manager just manages it. Actually, the assets sit with the custodian and the trustee oversees that. So it's a very similar arrangement. So you get the same safeties as if you were investing in other unit trusts and / wholesale fund. So just to go a little bit more into the details, and some of the things that I mentioned earlier, just minimum additional investment is 1,000 after you do the first 10,000. This is considered a growth type fund, so quite similar to your stocks in terms of high risk, high return. It is a new category. We're a wholesale fund, digital asset, right? As mentioned, the cutoff time is 3 p.m. We don't do distributions. This is all based on the capital gain, so it's up to you to realize your capital gains if and when you want. Of course, you feel free to consult us on the timing to do that. The trustee is universal trustee, a very a trustee with a long track record who's been around since 1970s. The management fees up to 1%. The trustee fees 6 basis points, slightly higher than other funds because there are some added complexities when managing digital assets and custodizing digital assets. We don't do any lockups. We don't do any minimum period of holding, and there's no redemption fee. And if you look at, I think, obviously the thing that is catching your eye is under the asset class performance over there, right? The historical performance of Bitcoin measured in ringgit. In 1 month, sometimes in the different periods, it can fluctuate. For example, 1 year performance was 103%. but actually over 3 years, it's actually only 50%, and this is not annualized, right? So it includes like bear period, but it's still a very good rate of return. But I think where we're really looking at is if you've got that holding power. We talked about those 5-year portfolios earlier. 5 years, you're talking over 1,000%, right? And that's really because you're invested in this early stage technology in Bitcoin, all those kinds of things, all those kind of good things as investment value that I talked about earlier. So the other fund, the Ethereum fund, isn't too much different. If you look at some of the underlying here, I think, well, maybe I'll do a little quiz here, to have fun with everyone here. Can you point out to me which bullet point is the different one from the Bitcoin fund? There is only one. Yeah, there's only one real bullet point that's different, and I'd like to know which one you guys think is the different bullet point. Still waiting to see some answers in the chat. There are 6 bullet points in the Bitcoin one and 6 bullet points here. Exactly. Johnny Lim's got it. Yep, that's right. Catherine's also got it. And that's the 3 to 4% per annum ETH validator yield. And that is obviously unique to the Ethereum blockchain. That's right. It's the 5th bullet point. And yes, this is the key difference. Otherwise, the Bitcoin fund actually works pretty much the same as the Ethereum fund. Obviously, Ethereum is a different animal. If Bitcoin is digital gold, people call Ethereum digital oil. And that's because a lot of the usability or the fungibility within Web3, this new technology, blockchain technology, is actually anchored by Ethereum. Most of the action, most of the fun stuff is actually happening on Ethereum. The smart contracts, the NFTs, even when central bank tokens are all, people are talking about central bank digital currency. And yes, some of them are thinking about trying to make a private blockchain. I will say this here, and you heard it here first. They will try to do the private blockchain, and they realize that it's not robust enough, it's not secure enough, and they will probably piggyback on Ethereum to do it, because that's what a lot of chains do anyway. So Ethereum, in that sense, is also a very, very viable investment. What's also interesting is they have an ETF coming up in June, which is why recently the price of Ethereum has been speeding up, right? As we look towards a possible ETF approval by the SEC in the US in June. So that's an interesting investment opportunity that's coming up very, very soon, right? So if I look at some of the details here, very, very similar. So I'm not going to go through most of it. And as you guys have rightly pointed out, the difference is this does actually have the additional yield from the ETH validator. But asset class performance, it does look quite similar, but you'll notice that in the 1 year is not performing as fast as Bitcoin, but that's because Bitcoin did have that boost from having its ETF approved in the US. So that is really an illustration of what kind of performance you can get when you are getting this kind of adoption from a global perspective, right? That 5.94%. 59.4%, sorry, for the 1 year there. But of course, being a smaller, from a smaller base effect, if you look at the 5 years column, you're actually getting over 2,000% past track record for investing in Ethereum if you are funded in ringgit. So that's actually nothing to scoff at, right? So again, really, if you have the holding power, this is really something quite powerful to be including into your clients' portfolios. So I'm just going to run through these two. I just ran through the Bitcoin and Ethereum fund, and I think this is probably going to be the most exciting part for you. I'm glad that I think I'm in still good time. So hopefully this won't take me too long, but I'm going to do the top 5 most asked questions that we get from clients. And also we've been speaking to agents, financial planners, and financial advisors, and they're also sharing with us. So this is formulated not just by ourselves, but also in tandem with our partners, and hopefully we will get more partners and after today. So question number 1, drum roll please. Digital asset has no value? Many people are asking this, right? And of course, those who were very good at paying attention will already know the answer to this, because I ran through it earlier in the session. It does have value. We have proven it, because there are other things that technically shouldn't have a value. It's not physical, it's not anything like this. Yeah, Digital payment networks are not physical. Visa, MasterCard, all these things, they are not physical, right? But they do have physical elements to them. They have servers and all that. So similar to crypto, all these things are there, but not similar to all those networks. It is not centralized. It's decentralized, and therefore it offers something truly interesting. The blockchain itself has never been hacked, right? Something like Bitcoin has never been hacked. That's also super interesting. We've also talked about as an asset, right? It is proven itself in terms of insuring against inflation and also insuring against loss of a currency value. So that's utility value on the left hand side. On the right hand side, you've got the investment value. Something like gold, for example, right? It has utility value actually, right? It is a inert metal. It doesn't um, it doesn't rust. That's why last time fake teeth, when people lose their teeth, they have gold teeth because it doesn't rust. It's safe to put inside the mouth, right? It also is used a lot in electronics and all that. So it's actually there's an industrial use for gold, but at the same time, most of the value from gold is actually because people believe it's a store of value. And interestingly, crypto and particularly Bitcoin is becoming that, right? So that's really the investment value on the right hand side. Your demand and supply, your market cycles, and of course you have to understand there is a high return and high risk asset. But as we showed you, there is a way to right size it for any investor, whether they're conservative or whether they're aggressive. Okay. So just remember, digital asset has no value. It does have value. So next question. Oh, sorry, I think I bumped a bit too fast. The value is so high. Can I still buy? Right? So the value is so high, can I still buy? And obviously, people are talking about Bitcoin because Bitcoin has had a fantastic past 12 months. And it's relatively close to its all-time high at 54,000 and 69,000 all-time high. The difference is only probably just another 20% or so to go. So the value is so high, can I still buy? The answer to this is the story of the world's unluckiest investor. Okay, what happened to this fella? What happened to this world's unluckiest investor? What he did is he started investing in 2019. He said to himself, I want to invest in Bitcoin starting in 2019. Okay. But I only have 1,000 ringgit to 1,000 US dollars to deploy per year. Okay. I only have 1,000 US dollars to deploy per year. So I'm just going to try my best to time the market and buy $1,000 per year. What happened to him? He very sway, this guy. Every year he buy, 2019 he buy 1,000, 2020 he buy 1,000, so on and so forth. Every year he did that. He accidentally bought at the all-time high. He accidentally bought the all-time high. So for helping you to illustrate where the all-time high is, we have the BTC USD price history chart on the left-hand side here. So it's marking up all the all-time highs. So that means he bought when it was 13,000. Then, okay. Then he saw, go up. Okay, I buy again. 2020, he bought again, 29,000. And then 2021, he bought again, 68,000. You would think this guy quite sway already lah. He confirmed lose money. 2022, he bought again, 48,000. 2023, he bought again, 44,000. He completely missed all the good times that it was 20,000, 30,000, 17,000. He missed everything, right? So he really missed all this stuff. Total invested 5,000 as of the end of last year. Okay, let's call it the cut-off time. The time where he realized his investment was last year, December 31st, December 2023. I invested 5,000. He go and check. Oh, I'm very sway lah. Let me see my investment value. It was actually 7,000 plus. So if you annualize his return, is 15.7%. So even if it's high, I honestly don't think the unluckiest investor also can get this return. So I honestly don't think, number one, I don't think we all are going to be so unlucky. This is obviously comically unlucky, right? Hit the all-time high every year. And also, even if you were to buy at a high price, I think the more important message is actually better than sitting on cash. 15.7% return per annum is actually sitting on cash. It's actually better than sitting on cash, right? So when people say cash is king, Well, it's tough. It's tough to argue with. What do you call it? It's tough to stand on the argument when presented with this kind of information. Obviously, there are some caveats. You're talking about long holding period, and also consistently investing and consistently DCAing and all those kind of things. All those things that I'm very sure that you guys are very used to advising your clients are. But of course, this is, I think, a superb answer to the question. The value is so high, can I still buy? And the short answer is yes. Another one that people always ask is crypto illegal? Is crypto is a scam, right? Crypto is a scam. And actually, if it was a scam, how would it come up to this level where it's actually been approved by a Securities Commission? Shariah Advisory Council, the SC, also has had a look at it, right? So they look at things very thoroughly, and they have a responsibility to Muslims and Sharia observant investors here in the country. All these guys. So you've got the legal and regulatory framework to, and that which gives rise to people like us, Halogen, being able to serve you guys. But also beyond that, the blockchain itself has never been hacked, right? Even if wallets, exchange accounts have been hacked, the blockchain itself still maintains its integrity. So it is not illegal in Malaysia. That's a good thing to know. And well, not all cryptos are investable. Remember earlier I showed you there was the thing where we said there are more than 10,000 cryptos and all that. Not all of them are investable. So really, if you want a good sense of what is good to invest into, go back to the Securities Commission, go back to the SC Shariah Advisory Council, and of course come back to Halogen and ask us what is a good one. We can also advise you on that. Okay. So that's how to answer that question, which comes up a lot. And then, of course, another question here: can I get hacked? In fact, in the webinar chat here, I do see somebody asking similar thing: is Halogen safe, right? If you were investing DIY, yes, there is a chance that you can get hacked. If you're investing in via an exchange or using your phone, this kind of thing, yes, you can get hacked. Why? Because sometimes I unlock my phone, I leave my phone on the table, and then I didn't put the auto lock, and then people can just take and just quickly transfer somewhere else. They can take my assets stored inside my phone or really on the exchange, and then they can push that somewhere else. So yes, you can get hacked. But can you get hacked if you are a Halogen customer? Much less risk, right? Much less risk because of the second bullet point here. I should really arrange this the other way around. Because of this multi-approval security that we have. One part you have to try and counter team. If you were to try and hack Halogen, is you got to hack Halogen. And Halogen is not one person. I am not Halogen. All those people that you saw before are Halogen. So you've got to compromise multiple people. Who else? It's not just Halogen. Huh? You've also got the trustee. You've also got to get universal trustee. You've also got to get the digital asset custodian, Big Go. So you have not just multi-person security within one firm, you have multi-firm that is protecting you. Okay? And even if the very unlikely case is much easier to hack someone's digital asset exchange here versus hacking Halogen, number one. But even if you make it through, and then, okay, Halogen, I want to take out the money, I want to move the money, we can only move back to third-party bank accounts. Sorry, we can only move back to the same name bank account. There are no third-party withdrawals. So the worst damage that they can do is they liquidate your investment, you go back to cash and it sits inside your bank account. That's the worst that can happen, right? And furthermore, compared to, I don't mean to scare anybody. They've actually got pretty good protocols, and this sounds more like the guy's device was compromised in the news article that we're showing here, right? But it's just to show you that these things can happen. But really, I think also importantly that we are, if you were Halogen, you would have avoided this lah. You would have definitely avoided this. And the assets, furthermore, with Halogen, the assets are stored in segregated custody. They belong to the customers, they belong to the fund and the trustee only serves the investors of the fund, right? That gives you added benefit, not just about whether it's getting hacked or not, but added benefit. What if Halogen is mismanaged? Fuad takes all the money and run, I don't know, whatever he can run away. He can't. I can't take your money because it sits in a segregated account. And I can't take Mr. Tan Siew Sin, I can't take his money and transfer to me because my name's not Tan Siew Sin, I can't transfer to my bank account. That really can't happen. Okay, so even if Halogen Capital ceases to exist, God forbid, the assets will still be there because it's stored in a custody that's what do you call, a lot of contingency, a lot of servers, very well distributed, is a gold class digital asset custodian, and you have the trustee there looking out for the interests of the investors at all time. Okay, so I really hope that answers. I'm sure this is one big question on everybody's mind, but I want to assure you that as far as taking precautions go, we are probably your best bet. Okay. Last question, but last and certainly not least, most asked question, right? Why Halogen? Why would I go via fund manager when I can do it myself? When I can go buy, go sign up within 5 minutes, put in what there, and then just buy from there. Well, we talked about hacking, right? We talked about how Halogen is better in terms of that. But let's summarize all of that in a nice table here for everybody to see. Okay. I think first point, again, just to reiterate, I talked about the segregated assets and what that means. So that is really a big benefit. Unfortunately, if you are investing in digital assets with the exchange, you are likely to be in a wallet that is commingled with the operator themselves. So it's not your legal asset just yet. If they were to go into trouble, bankruptcy, all those kind of things, and it has happened. Remember, a very big exchange went bankrupt 2 years ago, 1 year ago, FTX, yeah. So these kind of things can happen. It can complicate your recovery. Not to say that you cannot recover, it can just complicate your recovery. Whereas you don't have that kind of complication when you go with Halogen. You also have tax certainty when you go with Halogen, right? Because of the recent announcements that they've been making about unit trusts are not subject to capital gains tax and all that, you've got zero capital gains tax, zero income tax when investing into a wholesale fund, and that includes us. However, if you were to trade on your own and you're quite an active trader, and well, you didn't hear it from us. Well, you can hear it from us because you could probably hear it from everybody else, and I'm sure some of you guys know as well that LHDN have regularly asked the exchanges for their data on what the investors are doing, how much are they trading, all that. If you just buy one time, sell one time, I think it's okay. It's not really an issue. But if you are even doing a DCAing, maybe taxmen could look at that and say like, wow, this guy is trading for his income. This guy is trading as a main source of income, and therefore it should be taxed. So you have some exposure there. There is some exposure there that you need to think of. Okay. Speaking of going in and out, transaction costs. I think we've shown you what the fees for the funds are, right? But in terms of transaction costs, what does it cost like when we were to buy and sell? Because we also use these exchanges, right? We also use the Lunos, MX Globals, etc., etc. We are the only wholesale player in the market, right? We are the only large player, institutional player on these exchanges. So we have full-time staff. You saw our head of trading, you saw our fund managers, all that. We can sit there and wait for when somebody is really desperate to sell, we can pick up and all those kind of things, right? So we don't always get that, but what does it mean on long term? That we get best execution and it's all trying to get best price for the client. However, if you were a novice and you go on some of these platforms on your phone, and if you aren't careful, you can easily spend 2% spread when you're buying the asset and 2% spread when you sell the asset. That alone pretty much justifies, I think, the transaction cost, right? In this case, yeah. We've talked about scams and all those kind of things. Can you cannot scam? We've talked about it. No, because if you go with Halogen, you can't because there's no third party withdrawals allowed at the end of the day. Yes, maybe it is not very possible. It is not very probable, but it's possible that we can get hacked. But even if we did, it only goes back to a bank account of the same name. But if you were to get hacked and you have an exchange account, right? If you're trading on one of those exchanges on here, they can send it to any wallet address and then it's gone. You won't be able to get it back. Okay, so that's the dangerous part about not to say that you can't use it. If you're doing something like a couple of hundred and all that, I think it's fine. If people want to just do it fast. Also, we can't cater for retail, right? We're only wholesale. We have a wholesale fund. So yeah, maybe in that case they may want to do that. But really, I hope that you guys understand that we solve a lot of these issues on the right hand side with what we offer here. And I think last, certainly not least, right? Financial planner friendly. Can we work together with financial planners that we're able to share their sales charge, share their management fee? Are we available on platforms so that you guys can advise for your clients and include it into their portfolio? We are available on Philip and hopefully the others very, very soon. We're talking to every platform there is. If you guys want to recommend a platform, please put it inside the webinar chat and we'll look into it. So thank you very much for your suggestions. And last but not least, we can also be part of your wrap funds. I know that many of you guys are looking to wrap funds for your clients and all that. So really, if you wanted to replicate what we showed you earlier in terms of conservative portfolio and aggressive portfolio, including crypto, we can already be part of that, right? And of course, if the client was going through exchange on their own, they can't actually do that with financial planners. There's no way to do so, lah. Yeah. So really, I think this may be one of the most important Q&As over here. But perhaps let me just move on to I think that takes us to the end of the session. I'll just end the session here for now, and let's move it on to the Q&A section. But first, let me pass on to Jaying to just share some of her thoughts.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Fuad, for that enlightening session. So, all right. Before we wrap up and head to the Q&A session, allow us to share what you can do after this. So, you've heard about what we have done. What do we offer in terms of our products, and so to those of you who's interested in perhaps broadening your firm's offerings, or you want to recommend us to your firm, what you can do right now is just very simple. All you need to do is to fill up our form here, which you can scan through this QR code that's provided. And then it's a very simple form. All you need to do is, there's very few fields, and then you probably just need to let us know, okay, where you're from, and then let us know who's your firm, and then our team will get back to you, and we'll be glad to assist you further. So I'll leave this. We have a lot of questions, so I'll leave this this screen on. Then please feel free to take your time to scan. If you can't scan, just head to the link as stated. So halogen.my/contact us. So I'll leave this here. Then let's go into the Q&A session already. I think we have a lot of questions. Okay, so first question, Fuad. So since Halogen Capital is a fund manager, therefore you will charge initial fund management fee, right?
That is right. So we do have sales charge, but all of that, if I'm not mistaken, usually goes to our business partner who brought in the business lah. So yeah, we have that sharing in place. I won't go into details because I think everybody's from different firms and your principals may have different requirements and arrangements. But that's why we put usually in our documents and all that, we put a up to, so that we maintain that flexibility, just in case we know that some firms, they prefer to go on trailer fee, but some firms actually still want to do sales charge and all that. So yeah, we leave it up to our business partner lah, actually. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So next question, which is I think is quite interesting. Who is your Shariah advisor panel? So I think there are a few that did ask this as well.
Sure thing. So for our funds, the Halogen Shariah Bitcoin Fund and the Ethereum Fund, we are using Amani Advisors as our Shariah advisor for the fund. So as you might know, they are a leader in this space, and in fact, their chairman also at one point sat on the Shariah Advisory Council of the SC as well. So he really comes with a lot of experience. Tan Sri Dr. Dawood, and is very, very well respected in the industry. So we are very honored that they willingly work together with us. We were worried that when you go with the best, it's going to be expensive, but actually they gave us a very preferential rate, and I think it's because they understand what we were doing and they wanted to be a pioneer together with us. Yeah.
Okay, and then following up to that, there's one question by Ikwan. So proof of stake POS is not Shariah compliant at this point of time, right?
Actually, we are working on getting the Shariah compliance together with Amani Advisors, and I must say that I think we're quite close to it. And of course, in the fund, it's merely it's merely a what do you call? It's all we have to do is essentially find the right provider that is screening the right kind of projects and also doesn't include any of these prohibited activities, and that's possible. And once we get those rails up and running, we will start staking for the Ethereum fund. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's a question by Eric. So when I invest in the Ethereum fund, I'm also getting a 3.5% to 4.5 percent per annum returns on top of capital gains.
Yes, the short answer is yes. Yeah.
Okay, then I think there's another question that probably a lot would have on their mind as well. So what is the difference between investing into a crypto fund than directly? I haven't seen the differences, like differences is not clear yet.
Yeah, actually, we should go back to a couple of slides earlier. If this is slide 34, I'm gonna guess it's slide 30. Try and type 30 enter on your slideshow and let's see if that works. Okay, no, maybe just scroll back a little bit. Yeah, so I believe this slide is one that we get a lot, and I hope that this answers your question. I think this comes from Ikwan, right? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, as I went through in a little bit of detail, these are really some of the really big differences. It's not to say that we dissuade people from do all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Okay, then for question by Kenny. So what's the value of the asset management when it's only managing a single coin? Is the I think the same thing as buying direct from Luno or via BTC ETF as clients will be investing on monthly basis instead of 100K at one time.
This is an interesting question. Well, I think again, it comes back to this why Halogen versus digital asset exchange, right? Which we're flashing on the screen right now. And yes, there are clearly some benefits that you're getting from going via the fund. And of course, we are coming up with other funds in the future. We're not showing it today because it's still under development, but we're coming up with example, you put in 100K at one time and you get a curated basket of crypto from one investment, right? And that's coming up soon. But for now, this enables planners to really right size, plug and play their exposure to, say you want some Bitcoin. Some people only believe in Bitcoin, right? So yeah, if you wanted the right size Bitcoin exposure in your client's portfolio, this is one way to do so. Some people want to have very bespoke adjustments and all that, which is why ETFs are a thing, right? So yeah, that's really the value of asset management when it's managing a single coin, apart from what we're showing you on the screen here. So thanks for the question, Kenny.
All right, so another question, I think this is also asked a few times. So who is our trustee, and is the role of a guardian and trustee the same?
I'm not sure what guardian refers to in this case, but trustee company is for these two funds that we were sharing with today. That is Universal Trustee. It is a very well regarded trustee that manages some of the key clients, I would say, even some of the largest e-wallets in the country and all that. So they are used to handling digital. They're used to handling a high volume of customers, and they've been in the business since the 1970s. So they're also long track record. And yeah, we couldn't be working with a better trustee.
Okay, next question. Is the wholesale fund available to retail investors since majority clients of financial planners are retail clients? Any sales charge? If yes, how much?
Sorry, come again? It was a bit
Uh,
unclear.
Sorry, the next question is the wholesale fund available to retail investors since majority of the clients of majority clients of financial planners are retail clients. So
Oh,
any
right, yeah.
charge? If yes, how much?
Wholesale fund is only available to sophisticated investor. So I hope that Yut Fong, that you can look up the sophisticated investor categories, and some of them are quite forgiving, I will say. Like if you invest 250K at one go, that's considered a sophisticated investor. There are other categories as well. There's a new guideline from the SC, so I think it's worth looking into that as well. Sales charge, it can vary depending on the relationship with your principal. So I won't comment here. So please, if we are not currently onboarded with your principal, do get us in touch with them. We would love to get the ball rolling, and we're happy to talk about these numbers and what numbers would be sensible for all of us included. One thing I wanted to add, yeah. I talked about, I think, on an executional basis for the question just now that came about somebody asking proof of stake is not Shariah compliant, right? And actually, just to clarify, right, there is a very clear answer to the question. It is actually wrong to say that ETH staking is not Shariah compliant, right? Because we've proved it, we've done it, we've already got it lodged and launched with the SC. You can make ETH staking Shariah compliant if you apply the certain rules and filters. So we have done this, and no exchange will do this, right? So really, if you want Shariah compliant e-staking, it is only us that can do it, as far as I know right now. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that clarifies.
Okay, there's another question. How are your funds being valued daily and basis of valuation, source of the last done price?
Yep, that's a great question. So basically, we use both local and international sources. We use 7 sources, if I'm not mistaken, 7 sources, and these are based on their quotes for the mid rate, right? We will throw away any outliers. So the two largest and the two furthest away quotes will be thrown away, and then we'll take the average of the rest. And this is a very common methodology for measuring instruments in the asset management world, and I can attest to that because there's something I used to do in my old life as well. So it's
Okay.
not so much on the last done price; it's on the quoted price. If I'm not mistaken, 5 p.m. every day, and we value on a daily basis.
Okay, I'm combining these two questions. So there's one asking, okay, I'm 50 years old. Does this type of asset still suit me? And combining it with, okay, you have shared how by investing even at bad luck, high price at all time can still make good returns, but Bitcoin has gone up 20K 10 months ago to 55K today. Even if there is a drop in the next few months, do you think it's still a good time to invest into it now?
Sure thing. So let me answer the 50-year-old one first, right?
Yep.
Because I think we've shown that yes, it can be suitable, but that's where you guys come in, right? This is where the financial planners, you guys got to come in. And of course, one very crucial thing that we do as financial planners and advisors, and we're going into a new investment, is you must get your client to go through the suitability assessment test, right? And in a suitability assessment test, they have to understand, in a sense, they have to understand that the risk that they're taking in this single investment. But you also have to make them understand from a portfolio perspective. So let's take a severe example of the conservative investor. Not every 50-year-old is always going to be conservative, but I'm just going to assume that first, okay? 98% invested in cash, only 2% invested in crypto. What's the worst case scenario that can happen in that? That 2% becomes zero. The absolute worst case. I don't even know if that's possible, but I'm just going to say that as a worst case. So you're down 2% on that, and your cash, let's say you're up 2% on the rest, right? Uh, uh, After including the weights in. So actually, worst case scenario, you actually kind of have a de facto capital protection lah because of the asset allocation there. So that's really the two conversations that you need to have. Just to recap, number one, you've got to look at it from a portfolio perspective. Is this something at a portfolio level that the client can accept? And then on an individual level, when it's going to the investment, you must do the SAT, must make sure that you pass that criteria in terms of what it takes to go into a high aggressive investment, lah, which I'm sure you guys are very used to doing SAT. Yep. So that was the first part of the question. The second one was about the price is still high. Can I still buy it now? Right. So yeah, a short answer is yes, because if we saw the unluckiest investor bought at 69 and he's still making money. But what's crucial is he's buying it over a long period and he is averaging it out, doing a consistent and disciplined averaging over a time period. So I think those are the two important elements to have to succeed, have a successful investment in this asset class. Yeah.
Okay, I think we are down to our last two questions. So by high rail, how much is your trailer fee? This is one.
How much is our trailer fee? Yeah, sorry. Once again, because everyone's coming from different principles and all that, so it's a bit of a sensitive question because this is done on a B2B basis, boss to boss basis, not business to business. So it's more of please let us get in touch with your principal and then we can discuss with them. But on a large, a general, if I can generalize, I would say we are very competitive with what market people do in terms of the sharing, lah. So I don't think we are out of sync with what other people are doing. Yeah.
All right, last question. Is this actively traded or will it be fully invested and hold at the point of investment? So I think there are a few questions about this. Whether do we actively trade our funds?
Short answer is no. It's not actively traded in the sense of, if you go into XYZ fund from another fund manager investing in some stocks or what, right? They usually actively trade it. So the reason for that is we also have to give opportunity for people to buy cheaper, right? If we were to mess around with the thing, it's very difficult for those financial planners who want to use this as a tracking, who want to use this as understanding where the thing can go, when's a good value to buy, when's a good value to take profit, all those kinds of things. So that's why we've made this essentially something that mirrors the performance of BTC MYR very closely, just using the BTC fund as an example.
All right, so I think that's the time. That's all the time that we have for today. And I see that Eric, you do have some questions about fees. And okay, if you have any and you want to know who can you contact, so all you can do is fill up this form, or you can just reach us out through our socials as listed here. Then our team will get back to you. Then okay, so for those of you who are still here, if you still have any questions, feel free to contact us, and then all you can do is scan this QR code and then fill up the form, and our team will be more than happy to assist. So I think that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and thank you so much for all of your questions. Truly grateful to be able to do this, and we had fun answering them as well. So if there's any questions, again, please reach out to us either through the form or through our socials, and then we will definitely get back to you on your queries.
Yeah,
So
especially because there are quite a lot of questions that I think we don't have time to go through, and I can see that actually the Q&A and all that, and even the chat is quite full
yeah.
of quite full of questions. So yeah, we'll get in touch with you and we'll address. Look forward to having a conversation with you and addressing all of your queries, lah.
Yes, yes, I said that right. All right, so I think that's all that we have. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the session, and we'll see you in our next one. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good week ahead. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.